we've gone through various pedagogical stages, and today we are in the era of E-Pedagogy. So today, our Department of English has decided to focus on this area and has taken this web platform to connect to various academicians and the teaching fraternity all over the city or society. I request our principal, Dr. Pratap, to address the gathering. I request you, sir.
Thank you, Bhaji. At the outset, it is my immense pleasure, ma'am. This is Pratap, Principal of RBANM Associate College. On behalf of management, my staff members, and the members of charity, I welcome you, madam, for this session. It is my pleasure to see that your profile, and I am so happy regarding your service rendered to the teaching community from past 20 years. We are so happy. It is to say that it is our luck to have a resource for this session. So on behalf of once again, I thank you, madam, for accepting the invitation for this session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
On behalf of all educational charities and on behalf of our secretary, on behalf of administrative officer Virabhadrappa and secretary Sanju Narayan sir and treasurer Sashinder Narayan, on behalf of all, once again, I welcome you for this session. Please, you carry on the session, madam. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. A very good morning. Thank you for such a grand introduction. Now I have to stand to all those expectations. Very good morning to all the participants across the country and probably across the globe too. And I first of all take this opportunity to thank the management of RBANM College, the entire trust members, the president, secretary, treasurer, all of them, each one of them probably have given this impetus to the talk. I thank you also, sir, principal sir, honorable principal sir, Dr. Pratap, I thank you. I thank the Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator, Professor H.V. Ravi, and a special thanks to Nitya Rajesh, who's not there, but still she's done her maximum. I thank Madam Triveni, and thank you, Pavitra, for speaking so highly of English, and all the organizing committee members and the supporting team members. I understand organizing a webinar means a lot of hands and brains. I understand all that from my personal experience. Thank you one and all. Now without much ado, I straight away start with my talk, for which I think probably many of us are waiting. I once again welcome one and all. Today I just came across a news clip which said there were a group of teenage girls who are from around the world and have joined a global co-creation lab in Miami. What is it they have joined together for? It is an effort to translate their homework, assignments, and digital materials into world languages for students, that is their peers from Brazil, Spain, US, and other places. They are doing this for Florida's Miami County Public School. Why am I telling all this? I'm telling all this because our digital priorities, our e-priorities are increasing. Another thing, there were days when we used to go from pillar to post for job interviews and probably personally go and apply with our resumes and cover letters. And after that came the email process where we would apply for jobs online. And now comes an era where you sit in the comfort of your home and you are going to be interviewed, selected, appointed, and you continue working from the comfort of your house. So work from home, of course, is not a new concept, but that is the digital era. That is what we are gearing up to. Now, in this entire the role of a teacher, a pedagogist, and especially with Elan, I can speak of an English teacher. An English teacher takes a special or puts in special efforts to make her learners' employability skills better. She hones their communication skills, she hones their personality, and since we teach language and literature, we take this opportunity to dream through our learners' eyes. So kudos and a big round of applause to all teachers, especially English teachers. Now moving on to pedagogy. What is pedagogy? Pedagogy is a method and practice of teaching. It's a profession and science of teaching. It means that it is a systematic body of knowledge. There is a certain procedure, there is a certain methodology, there is a proper full-formed science in pedagogy. So, we as academicians discipline and we impart knowledge and skills in an educational context. This is what can be termed as pedagogy. Now, pedagogy has a certain amount of technology involved in it. Pedagogical technology involves precise formulation of an issue. Now, this implies to specifically normalized educational process in terms of form, content, training methods, products, and output results. It also includes all the educational activity that purposefully changes the learners. So there is a purpose, there is an aim to all pedagogy, and this is called as pedagogical technology. The choice of appropriate resources is also very important, because when we are following this discipline of pedagogy, we have to make the apt use of all the apt resources for the right program and the right discourse. Moving on to education as a service sector. We know today education is a service sector. The demands and expectations of the industry are increasing. So this urges EL teachers to raise their level of competence to engross the learners. I underline the word engross because it is easy to enroll ourselves in a course. It's easy to get into this profession, but engrossing learners and ending up with them as productive, creative human beings is of paramount importance. We as English teachers also make them comprehend or understand the nuances, the delicate threads of the language. And we prepare them to use language by meaningful application in different ways. Say, for example, in a typical classroom, especially when the students have just joined, say the first year students, All you have to do is start with something that thaws the ice. An icebreaker could just be a joke, a small game, a word game, anything to start a meaningful and innovative way of teaching. Now, one of the initiatives in levitation of our pedagogical competence includes ELT, raising ELT on a digital platform. Now, education has already been discussed as a service sector. Now, why are we so serious as academicians? Because of the pressing demands of the industry, the brave new world. Now, you can see in the picture a robo standing, and this is the reality of one of the Bangalore schools. Okay. So, what we have to do, we have to adopt e-pedagogy, which has to go hand in hand with traditional norms. Why? Because we have to thaw, thaw the learners and see to it that they learn through blended form of teaching. I am not talking specifically about these tough times during the pandemic. Even otherwise, when we use pedagogy and e-pedagogy, which should go hand in hand with traditional forms, and this will give rise to a blended form of teaching. Yes, I agree to the cost of, or rather the extravagant cost of setting up a digital platform. But nonetheless, this is the need of the day. Now, the question we ought to ask ourselves is, can I engage a learner who comes from the grassroots level of learning he has done with the aid of robots, tabs, and other e-gadgets? I heard a particular student from a school who's just, in grade 5, he was complaining. He was telling, ma'am, we are not allowed to tab lab anymore. Why was he complaining? It's not only that he's habituated or addicted to the gadgets. It is his form of learning. Then, coming to such learners, such a digital audience, to digital learners, we have to question ourselves, my dear friends, are we ready to welcome such learners to the tertiary level? Now, what is the answer to this? The answer to this is e-pedagogy. Why do we need e-pedagogy? Are we less competent as pedagogists? No, I do not deny, because if today we have so many successful human beings in our society, so many great personalities in the society, probably somewhere the seed was sowed by a pedagogist. So I do not deny it, but the need for e-pedagogy can come to an aid. It can halt our teaching process when we take the aid of e-pedagogy. Now, Christian Terrell tells us, his affective filter hypothesis tells us that the conditions that promote low anxiety levels in learning leads learners to learn more. That means if a learner is relaxed, his affective filters are low, then definitely he's going to learn more. Now for this, we have to have different, new, novel, innovative activities out of the norm to lower these learner affective filters. Thus, the need for novelty should be at the crux of teaching. Since variety is the spice of life, we have to understand that we should bring in novelty in our teaching methodology. Now, if you look at this slide, you will see that we are living in this era and it is not a dream. The boy, he is wearing this virtual lenses. They can be purchased at affordable prices. They are not very expensive. So he can get the virtual world, or rather he enters the virtual world with the use of such gadgets. And then I would like to show you a video on augmented reality which is being used by a Kerala school. Have a look at it. Chakyas. Chakaya. Now, what is augmented reality? Augmented reality adds digital elements to a live view, often by you. Augmented reality adds digital elements to a live view, often by using the camera or smartphone. Virtual reality, which is the other side of the coin, brings in a whole new world, and it in fact immerses you into the physical world. What are the two prerequisites of integrated teaching? One is understanding technology, the other is passion for teaching. Understanding technology is of paramount importance today. It's not that I exaggerate the fact that we do not know technology. It is just that we are always upgrading ourselves. We should be more than willing to upgrade ourselves. And passion for teaching is indubitable. Anyone who's entered this profession definitely will have a passion for teaching, I assume. These are few of the tools like laptop, desktop, mobile, smartphone, Kindle, tablets. We could be using all of them or at least a few of them. The most important one is laptop or desktop and an earphone to aid hearing, especially in terms of learning language. When you have an earphone, you listen carefully and learn the pronunciation of the language, and it also improves our listening skills. Now, how has e-pedagogy transformed the teaching learning process? It has transformed the teaching learning process by transformed the teaching learning process by bringing the virtual world into the real world. Now here, technology mediates the process of teaching and learning. Now here is a picture of a tutor being viewed on a laptop. How is this helpful? E-pedagogy is helpful when, apart from learning language, we can take on several vitalizes learners to pursue new courses in the comfort of their houses without having to travel after a long day's toil. If a person has been working throughout the day and is still interested, e-pedagogy comes to this person's rescue to learn anything new that he wants and any course that he would like to take up. What is e-pedagogy? E-pedagogy refers to a teaching approach that utilizes digital information and communication technologies and caters to the learning preferences of digital generation. It includes the teaching learning strategies developed specifically for blended environments. Here, I emphasize the fact that teaching and learning can take place in blended environments. Yes, there are times of crisis like this pandemic when we eventually learn to conduct online classes. And let me tell you, we put in our best to do. Even a few people of probably my genre who couldn't did it successfully. Such a kind of blended learning certainly requires a digital platform. Way back in 2019, when I presented a research paper, I put forward this view. I was presenting a paper on setting up a digital platform for improved competence of teaching language and literature, and so am I doing even today. A digital platform comprises of electronic tools for communication, which includes desktop, mobile, social media, email software, everything that is needed to promote e-pedagogy, which is an approach that utilizes digital information and communication to cater to the learning preferences of the digital generation. It is a path to create a virtual classroom. What are the principles of e-pedagogy? Regular e-tasks, evaluation, and feedback. That means we have to give them more e-tasks and probably correct them on the e-platform because they are more interested in that platform. They are more habituated to that platform. And it's not only evaluation, we should not stop at evaluation. We should give them the feedback, and feedback can be taken from all sectors, parents, fellow teachers, the management, and the students themselves. The students themselves will give you an excellent feedback about what they have received, what they expect, and what needs to be done. How do we assign tasks? To begin with, we give them group tasks, and then later on, they can be awarded individual tasks. I was just mentioning the beginning of my talk about the group of teenagers at Miami. They belong to different countries. These teenagers, they are all wired up and connected because of technology. So we can begin with giving them a group task, and then later on we can zero down with a solo task that is given to them. We also need to build an encouraging learning ambience, and here the emphasis should be heightened simply because when we are providing a learning ambience for learners through e-pedagogy, a lot of extra effort has to go in terms of content development, framing the syllabus. If the syllabus are already there, there should be tailor-made curriculum that you are going to design. And let me tell you, most of us are very good at content development. We have to do all this to accommodate different learning styles by creating need-based learning activities. What are the advantages of e-pedagogy on the learner? A creative and novel teacher not only inspires learners, but he or she makes the mundane, boring, everyday task of learning an interesting part of learner's life. It makes learning a vivid experience. It conjures the imagination of the latent learner. This will lead to an exemplary shift in learning, leading to involvement of learners. It will also lead to an increased interest, leading to an improvement in the teaching learning process. And the aim is achieved improved language proficiency. Now, what are the inferences of applying e-pedagogy on the e-pedagogist? Certainly, no doubt about the fact the high cost of setting up a digital platform could prove to be a challenging task, both for a pedagogist, the institute, but nevertheless, it is the need of the day. The misuse of the gadgets cannot be ruled out despite the good intentions of e-teachers. The teacher-student ratio also matters. Another added factor is learners need to be genuine. That means they need to be focused. And even if they aren't, we as teachers can counsel them and create an interest. And when you create novel, interesting, and innovative lessons, tasks, content, definitely they will be genuinely interested. E-pedagogy can be propounded to learn the language, to sustain the interest of the modern learner who will always be addicted and is addicted or habituated to e-gadgets. Teaching learning should be made a pleasurable activity. It's not a suffering. Learning is not a suffering. Learning is a discipline. So, especially language and literature teaching can be made a pleasurable activity. An e-pedagogist could create colorful, creative, interesting, innovative, and intellectual tasks. And the content should be designed keeping the learner in mind. E-aids should suit the theme of discussion and topic of discussion. Once the topic of discussion is thoroughly understood, digested, assimilated, it just takes a few extra steps worth taking to put forth the study material in the most creative format, leading learners, I underline this sentence, leading learners into the exciting world of gaining knowledge. There are a few pragmatics for acquiring basic ELL skills, which have also been used and are in vogue for traditional learning. So how can we blend it with e-pedagogy? I focus on the first basic skill, that is listening. Podcasts and audiobooks could be used. Kindle's Whisper Sync for voice technology, which includes audio, has books, and these can be used for listening skills, which is a passive skill but a very important skill. For instance, you can listen to English by Peter Carter, Elementary Podcast by British Council, Luke's English Podcast, audio video from teachers, speeches. You can use great speeches. See, one of my listening classes, what I just did was allow students to take out their mobile phones and they search for Charlie Chaplin's speech, The Great Dictator. We all know that The Great Dictator is a speech which has an exemplary importance in oratory skills. So they were more than happy, and all I had to do is say 1, 2, and 3, and they all together started listening to the speech, and then starts the inferential rounds, and they themselves coming with new ideas, and they started sharing their emotions, their speeches began to pour, and this is how an e-pedagogist triggers the enthusiasm of a digital learner. So you can use Luke's English podcast, audio video from teachers themselves can be used. We could use speeches. We could use Siri as an obedient listening assistant. Moving on to speaking, communicating with video conferencing helps us travel many classrooms in many countries across the globe. Then we also have, right now also we're making use of this virtual platform like Zoom, Google Classroom, WebEx, etc. Then there are other apps for speaking like Coffee Swap and Hello Talk. And on a lighter side, for fun-filled activities, Talking Tom can be used for recording your speeches, and gradually you can learn language. Audios, videos from teachers and speeches can also be used. Apart from the hard copies, one can read, the digital reader can read on iPads, tablets, e-readers like Kindle, which offer interactive reading and vocabulary building exercise. And this experience can later on be used for the next skill, which is writing. When we download a dictionary, say for example, I have downloaded a Merriam-Webster dictionary. There are n number of games and quizzes, and one of them is the word quiz, which I enjoy. It is at different levels, and gradually it aims at improving your vocabulary, and thus you use many words and you have an improved proficiency in vocabulary. Writing an article, a feature article, completing a dialogue or a story which has been done so far on a hard copy can also be encouraged on a soft copy. And another major use is use of virtual or augmented reality to invoke all senses for transcreation, because virtual and augmented reality invokes all senses, it plays on all senses, and the learner can transcreate. Now here is an example of a 3D pen which is used to create a 3D model. Now this lifelike models conjures the imagination of a learner, of an e-learner, of a traditional classroom learner, and makes learning a more exciting activity. Of course, knowledge transfer is always there. Then we can also use 3D printers, 3D models can be created with the help of 3D pens. This brings the real world to the virtual classroom. So, why is all this being done? Because subjects, after all, need, it encloses, it entails some form of visualization. When you see, you learn. When you see, you believe. When you hear, you repeat. So when we reconstruct concepts with 3D printers to teach and give form to abstract thoughts, it's very interesting and exciting to a digital learner. 3D printing also allows them to experiment freely with their designs without spending too much time on it. So you could allow your e-learners to design, experiment, and then wait and watch. They will come out with the most creative and innovative models. This enhances the quality of tech-ingrained teaching and also brings the real world to a virtual classroom. I would like to end by telling the only way to discover the limits of possible is to venture beyond them into the impossible, as quoted by Arthur C. Clarke. Thank you. Thank you for the patient listening. Always remember to challenge yourself, to go beyond what is comfortable, be more, create more, experience more. Thank you. I once again thank all of you for your patient listening. If you have any questions, you can put across on the chat box and I shall receive them.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your excellent, marvelous speech that says adaptability is the only source of how you can communicate and have better interaction with the growing society, the students. And I request the participants to shoot up more doubts that they have on the chat box, please. Ma'am, participants have already started asking questions, ma'am.
Okay.
Shall we start with the questions, ma'am?
Yes, dear.
Yeah. Okay. The first question is from Kalidas. He says,
Okay.
E-pedagogy of teaching, as we are the teachers, observed that it's highly difficult that to ensure the learner's physical attention and attentiveness in learning process. But this is an era of blended learning and teaching. How to enable and engage students to participate in teaching learning mechanisms?
Okay. I answered this question, Sir Kalidasa sir. I think I have already answered it in my speech. Blended learning is not bereft of traditional classroom teaching. Now tell me, even in a classroom teaching, it is quite a challenging task to engross the learner. So physical presence and also with the aid of technology, you can engross. But how can we as pedagogists engross their attention? We can, create the most interesting, innovative tasks. I know there is a particular syllabus given to you and me, and I have very limited time to teach. But in the given limited time, with my creativity, if I can light up a class, then nothing like it. There could be oral activities like word games. I already suggested in my talk. They could be a list of games, or anything that you could show them on the digital platform. Okay. You can show a video. Just now I tried showing a video, but because of technical problems, probably we were unable to view it. So you can show them a video, you can show a clipping, even if you just put in a vivid picture on the e-board, and just the most silent learner who may not be very outspoken, you can expect him to come out with words. He may speak, he may interact, he may learn, and sometimes even we learn from them. I don't deny the fact that we as teachers are constant learners, and we always learn from them. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
The second question is from one Miss Sheila.
Yes.
Her question is, when learning through e-pedagogy, the learner's share of responsibility increases multifold.
Yes.
How do you think we can mold our students to take up that responsibility?
Good morning, ma'am. I think it's very simple. If I can create interesting content, it's just, like your traditional classroom. You don't force any student into your classroom. Yes, a side story is he may even come for attendance, but the most important fact is he comes to listen to lectures. I tell you, most of the learners, they select whose lecture they want to listen. They are selective about listening to teachers. If you and I, as pedagogists, if we can take up challenges, create relevant content, we can give it an exciting, innovative form. Yes, I agree, we are all time pressed. We are working very hard, and in that we have to create. But once we create, it is just an excellent experience. I had the opportunity to teach students of architecture, and that is an experience I remember for a lifetime, because they are innovative even in the way of learning. And I would like to say here that it was quite challenging for me to prepare tasks for them. All that was given was an outline of the syllabus. I took the outline of the syllabus, made wonderful presentations and interesting, exciting ones, and sometimes I would show them so many things out of the norm which they acknowledge. And this is the challenge we hold as a pedagogist, as an e-pedagogist. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, there's a next question from Ashwini Somanna. She's asking you to share the PPTs in the chat box, which I think all of us also would be happy to take.
I think I will share it to your personal email. If you share me your email ID, Triveni ma'am, then you can share it with all the registered participants. I have no issues.
That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. We will share.
Shall we go on to the next question, ma'am?
Surely, I'm waiting.
Yeah. Ma'am, Mr. Anirudh Rao has asked, how can we accommodate specially abled students in e-learning?
Well, specially able students, if they cannot see, if their hearing is proper, excellent, nothing is stopping them from learning. I have my own set of specially able students who cannot see, but they are smart, they are informed, they in fact read more than the regular students. They use readers, and they are equipped with gadgets which help them reading. They are tech savvy, they are using mobiles like all other students. During the break time, they are using mobile. And so we can use this as a digital platform. Even they should not be exempted from doing so. If they cannot see but they can hear, nothing like that. They can always listen. In fact, listening is a much more sharper skill. Even though it's a passive skill, it leads to a more active skill like speaking, or if not writing, typing is always there. Okay, they can type out their assignments, which they do, which my students do back in college. And students with different abilities, probably I include myself and all other pedagogists to do a little more research. It's an earnest request to all pedagogists who are listening. Please, please, there is very little research done on e-pedagogy. In fact, a couple of years when I was trying to talk about technology in classroom, when I took the virtual lenses, I was not taken seriously. It is very sad that I was not taken seriously. Even last year when I tried to present a paper to raise a digital platform, it was taken moderately, but we never knew this pandemic would happen. So one, we have to be tech savvy. Two, we ought to do a lot of research in this field in spite of all the time constraint and stress that any teacher or pedagogist faces. I hope I'm clear, Anirudh.
Yes, ma'am. All of us totally agree with you. And our own college also has a handful of students who are more able and addicted to learning.
Exactly. They are more able. I agree with you.
Yes, ma'am.
They are more able. They are more interested.
Definitely, ma'am.
Yes. And I involve them in my classrooms. They stand up and they answer. And I do not treat them differently because they are differently able. They are one among. In fact, they are outstanding.
That's great, ma'am. The next question, ma'am, from Dr. Subramanya Sharma. He says, we do not use gadgets and technology with equal efficiency. Hence, this could become an obstacle for both teacher and learner. How to fill this gap?
Okay. So, Professor, the doctor is telling there is a hiatus. There is a gap between technology and the use of technology. Well, what's stopping us from learning? If I in my 50s can learn, all of us can, isn't it? So we need to learn, dedicate time, and pardon me for using Kannada, but Kaliyavargu Yella Brahma Vidyene Kaltumele Gotalva. I won't tell it. So all we have to do is take steps. We have to learn. Ignorance has never been bliss. In fact, you have, if you look at the last slide, which is still on, you have to see that you have to go beyond. You cannot say something is impossible. If you want to achieve something impossible, you need to take extra steps. That will not come. See, the mountain will not come to you. You need to go to the mountain. Okay? So the only way to discover the limits of possible is to venture beyond them. Go to impossible. Okay? And then it becomes I am possible.
True, ma'am. Age is only a number. All of us agree with you.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, ma'am. The next question from Justin Ruben. There's a misconception that technology can replace teachers in the classroom. What's your opinion on this, madam?
Well, teachers are indispensable. It is indubitable that we can do away with teachers. Teachers, I have been from the beginning, I have been telling about blended learning. I never say that e-pedagogy is going to supersede traditional classrooms or our traditional pedagogists. It's only, in fact, the crux of my talk is using e-pedagogy as an impetus, as a push, as a force to teach language and literature, and for that matter, to teach any subject. See, it's simply because your audience is a digital learner. I just use it as a tool, but it will not supersede the human factor. It never will. It will never give you the warmth. I'll give you a small example. Whenever there is mission valuation, we see students who did not clear the exam simply because they could not clear by 0.5 or 1 mark. Would a human do that? So, human is humane. He is full of humanity. He knows your year matters. I'm speaking about YEA year. Okay? If he or she is valuing, the person may, even reconsider your script. Maybe somewhere you have written, I can give you that 0.5. It's your life. But do you think the machine is artificial intelligence? It does the given allotted task. It will not use its own brain. It is created. It is a creation of your and my brain. It is artificial intelligence, that's why. So artificial intelligence will never replace human intelligence. See, many a times whenever we ask a question, our students are so habituated, they want to touch the mobile and find answers from the Google. I say, no, don't use Google Bhagwan, the classroom. You have a better Google here. Okay, so your intelligence can never be replaced with artificial intelligence, artificial classes, and e-pedagogy, etc. They can all be used as an aid, as a helper, as a tool. Okay, so I think I make my point clear, Justin.
There's literally no two ways about it. Definitely, a human intelligence cannot be replaced by anything that's artificial, ma'am.
Yes.
They are only
Yes.
secondary to the human inventions, human
Exactly.
abilities.
We humans have created it.
Yes,
isn't
so
it?
they cannot
I should-
overdo us.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The next question from Bhavya Balasubramanyam.
Yes.
She's asking, how do I incorporate e-pedagogy to students from semi-urban and rural background?
Okay. Semi-urban and rural background.
Rural background, ma'am.
Okay. To complete the previous answer, what has happened to us is we have become Pygmalions. So we have started loving our own creations to the extent of destruction. So let us not love it to the extent of destruction. Now coming to this present question, where we are talking about semi-urban and rural, I don't see the divide at all. The divide and variation shall be in content formation, in my presentation, wherein I know my audience is from semi-urban and rural background. In fact, over the years, as an English teacher, I have noticed the written language of the rural students is better than urban students. The urban students, they just flaunt their knowledge of English simply because they speak well. And many a times, if you look at it, if you look at their answers, they are writing in the written form. So every time we would suggest that there is something called written language and there is something called spoken language. Now it has also come to the language of chatting, where, I start my first introductory class in a first semester by telling, ma'am, why have you come here to teach English? I'll teach you English. When you say 3-letter word, YES, he just says yes. But I discourage them indirectly by quoting such examples simply because language is being affected. Yes, let them, text in the language of their liking. But there is a proper discipline, a proper body of written language. In fact, when a survey was taken in the Oxford University between native and non-native speakers, it was the native speakers who were not so proficient in the language, and the non-native speakers, and guess it was the Indians who had better language proficiency. So how did it happen? It happens simply because of our English teachers. Okay, so the discipline in writing has to be observed carefully is one point. Coming back to answering your semi-urban and rural divide, as I told you, their grammar is sound. Just in case it is not sound also, there's always a beginning, you know. I went to teach a semi-urban crowd where even at a secondary level, I had to start with alphabets. So it's just that in the very beginning, the first class, when you meet your students, your first task is to know their level of competence in the language. And once you know their level of competence, there is no stopping. You can design tasks, you can work, or rather work a few extra miles in content development and give them n number of tasks which they are more than willing to do. Now, how do I do this on a digital platform? Simple. Mail them. Keep in touch with them on WhatsApp. Okay? Give them assignments. Leave audios on their WhatsApp. You can form the groups of learners and you can leave audios and videos on WhatsApp groups. Mail assignments to them. I know it's very taxing to read all the assignments which are mailed back to us. It just boomerangs. But then, yes, my goal as a teacher is achieved. It is not the bright, the excellent, the top scorers as a teacher that I should teach. I should actually be reaching the one who's not done it. If I can, as an English teacher, as a pedagogist, as an e-pedagogist, assist him, fill him with a lot of self-esteem, and if I can improve his language, then yes, I am successful as a teacher.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, that's with the end of questions, and all the other chat box that I'm seeing, everything that I'm seeing is only in praise of you. They all are so excited about having attended the seminar. I would like to read out just one. I'd just like to read out one, this one which sounds too good, ma'am. There is one Mr. Just give me a moment. Dr. Subramanya Sharma. He says he's attended approximately around 8 webinars so far, and all of them were only one-sided. Not even one webinar was interactive, but this webinar has proven really good. I liked both the presentation and the meaningful discussion. This is how a webinar should be. Special commendations to the moderator for the lively moderation of the session. So the credit also goes to you, ma'am, for being so wonderful. So thank you, participants. Thank you, academicians, for having asked all wonderful questions and having cleared all your doubts. Ma'am, over to you, ma'am. Anything you have to say?
Yes, dear. Thank you. Thank you, Triveni. The credit goes to you too. You have been a wonderful moderator. And I once again thank the management of RBANM First Grade College for giving me an opportunity and inviting me over. Honorable Principal Dr. Pratap, respected Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator, Professor H.V. Ravi, dear Nitya Rajesh, Madam Triveni, and all the organizing committee members, supporting team members, Pavitra, in fact, each and every one involved in making this webinar happen. I thank one and all. And above all, thank you, participants, for your patient listening. Thank you. Have a great day. Be safe. Let God save us all from this pandemic. Good luck. God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks to our RBNMS Educational Charities, Secretary, Treasurer, for giving us an opportunity. Thanks to our Principal, Dr. Pratap. Thanks to Professor H.P. Ravi, Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator, and the academicians team, the resource person, Professor Suneetha, with over 20 years of experience and such a versatile profile. Thank you for making the webinar a success, ma'am. Thank you to one and all. Thank you.